An epic fantasy reader reads romance books. Hi, hello, welcome back in. I'm currently in a mood for fluff. It's January as I'm filming this, and I'm very much, I tried an epic fantasy, I put it down, and I kind of looking back on the years of January on my reading life, I either always end up with multiple DNFs in the beginning of January, or I just choose not to read for a bit, or I just do rereads, right? But considering I spent most of December doing rereads because mood, I was like, that's not the mood I'm in. So all of a sudden I went, I want romance. And so I went to some friends, right? I met with some groups, and some of them who know me are like, are you okay? Are you sick? You don't read romance. I was like, well, mostly I don't. I am such an epic fantasy reader. But I have decided that January is fluff month. I want romances. I want cozy romance. I want heart-wrenching romance. So I picked up the Marvelous Light trilogy, right? And I had already read the Marvelous Light ages ago, like 2 years ago, and loved it, right? I know, it's mental. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, because I'm in the mood of romance, I thought, why not read a load of romances as I go to a load of my group friends who were concerned, like, are you okay? Are you well? You don't read romance. I'm like, I know. And get some recommendations and read them and give you my thoughts. So this is what I'm doing because this is the mood I'm in. Now, I'm going to start this with a caveat is I don't hate romance books. I have a lot of issues with fantasy romance, but if there's a good fantasy romance out there, I will pick it up and eat it. So on that note, I'm going to tell you about The Marvelous Light, The Ruthless Vows. No, that's Divine Rivals. Restless Truth. Why I get those two mixed up, I don't know. And The Power Unbound. Oh, The Power Unbound. We'll get there. We will get there. This is the perfect blend for me, mystery and romance. Like, in the mysteries, I never try and guess any shit. I'm just there for the ride, okay? That's kind of what I want in a romance, okay? I knew they were going to end up happily ever after, and I loved the journey, and it was amazing, and I cried when I finished The Power Unbound because it ended, and I never wanted it to end. This is my life right now. So what are these books about? Well, if you like gay, you would love this. And if you don't like gay, what are you doing here on my channel? You can go away. It's so gay. But if you like good characters, you would love this. If you like magicians, you would love this. If you like mysteries, you would like this. It is everything I wanted and more. So with each book, you have a different relationship, okay? And there is some spice, okay? Some spice. And this is from somebody who doesn't read spice. And it was take it or leave it, okay? But it was actually well written, unlike some of the other stuff I've read previously. First couple is Edwin and Robin, and I remember losing my mind over them. I was like, I love this. I just read it and read it and read it. The next one is Violet and Maud, which, from hearing discourse online, I was like, maybe this is not going to be, maybe I won't continue the series, which is why I didn't pick up the sequels, because I was like, I have no good things. How wrong was you guys? I loved it. They're on a boat, and I was like, oh, this is like Titanic, but without, like, the death and sinking. Mystery, and you get the introduction of my second favourite character of the series, Alan Ross, who is in the possession of some little saucy books, magazines, I don't know what they called them in those times, pamphlet things, and that scene in the second book where they're just reading these pamphlets and just laughing and just having a good time. He gets introduced and I love him. So I basically powered through book 2 because I wanted to get to book 3, which is hands down my favourite. Is this going to be my favourite book of the year? This is only in January. If this sticks to be my favourite book of the year, like, it's going to be up there. It's going to be up there. A Paramount is Alan Ross and Jack Hawthorne. I am not prone to swooning, right? I'd swoon for him, okay? Jack Hawthorne. Oh, just his character. He is somebody who comes across as your typical, like, but he comes across as uncaring guy, right? Will be throwing word barbs out to everybody and anything, always there for that kind of fight, right? And he's not like your typical grumpy sunshine, okay? He generally isn't always going to be a good person. And he would never admit, no matter how much you oppress him, he will never admit how much he cares for people in his life. But he's had some, obviously, trauma. Somebody took advantage. Something happened that is prevalent to the plot that I'm not going to tell you what it is when he was younger. But what gets me is Alan Ross meets him barb for barb, and I'm like, yes, right? They despise each other. This is not true enemies to lovers, okay? It's not, but they literally despise each other, and I am sitting here eating this up. I started the audio narrator, excellent by the way. I ended up having some time for lunch, and I went, I'm downloading the ebook. I bought the ebook, read it, went back to work, did the audiobook, which, to a side note, I was mucking out stables when a spicy scene came on, and I was like, I'm so glad nobody can hear what I'm listening to right now, because my boss would look at me like, what are you reading? And I'd be like, look, I've read Monster Smart. This is tame. But to be fair, on the spice, like, it's probably would be a little bit raunchy than what some people would be used to. If you've read Monster Smart, you'd be fine. You'd just be fine. But it goes into roleplay, it goes into power dynamics, and I am here for it. Just the way the characters have their barbs and Latin, I cried when I finished this book. I cried. I love the characters so much. I love how everything just concluded, and it was equal parts plot and romance. Now, this is urban, like it's set in 19th century London, which is incredible. I love how the magic system works. It's quite a soft magic system, but it's kind of cool. And the outcome at the end of it was really, really kind of cool. So if you want to know, the whole plot of the series is basically there's this magical contract that 4 women have. They discovered it, but they chose to keep it hidden. But somebody else has discovered it exists and is hunting these women down to basically take the contract and have it for themselves to gain all power, all this kind of shit. So they're sort of learning about all of this as you're going through the series. Mysteries, who's behind it, what's happening. It really comes to a nice conclusion in book 3. But I did cry so much. I cried so goddamn much. Just because the book ended. I've never done that with a fantasy romance before. Like, I have my issues with it. I have read from Blood and Ash. That teetered off pretty fast. But I literally sat there and I just cried. Happy tears, because I loved the characters so much and I love the world. And the next book I'm going to read was a recommendation from a friend on Instagram. And she said, I think you might like this. And I was like, I knew I came to the right people here. I knew I messaged the people. And it is this book, which the name I have currently forgotten, but I know it's about witches. And witches I love. I love the very irregular Society of Secret Witches. No, No, what is wrong with me? That's not the title. Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Finally got there. I loved that. I also loved the House Witch series, which was just incredible. So that's going to be my next read. I'm probably going to get it done in a day tomorrow because it's 4 hours long. Because I listen at 2 times speed, and if you have a problem with that, that's your problem, not mine. I'm going to report back on how that is. I'm not sure anything can live up to A Power Unbound. I have been talking for long enough about this series already, and I feel like I could go on and on and on about the series, and I'm going to refrain from doing it. So I'll see you in the next check-in. So I finished In the Shadow Garden, and it was okay, right? My main complaint was, and I never ever thought I'd say this, I wanted more romance. Like, this has a really, really solid plot. So if you do not want that much romance, you can look past it and enjoy it for the plot, right? It's literally very secondary, which usually that would be the mood I was in. And I did enjoy it. Basically, there's these 2 types of witches, and one heals, taking some pain from some other, giving it to the Shadow Garden. And the other one, it turns out, can actually take your memory, but they think you could do it willingly. I'm going to leave it at that. Things happen, things are new, and they discover a lot of things. I did find the ending a little bit rushed. I almost found that there was too many POVs. I kind of wish there was less, by like 1 or 2, and just had it between, I don't know, just a couple, and then maybe the couple that they had POVs in, you just insert them like 1 chapter, as in you get this perspective here and that. I don't know, that just might just work, but it was fine. It was entertaining, right? I didn't mind it. I probably wouldn't read it again, which I'm kind of bummed because I used an audible credit on it, and because it wasn't available in the library at all, so I had no other choice. But I kind of wished it was a library one. I'm not gonna lie. After that, I picked up a couple of other things, and like, they're not clicking with me. So I ended up on BookBeat. I ended up listening to A Fire in the Sky. I always get that mixed up with The Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons. They're just so similar, and the covers are both red, right? Well, kind of. There's red in Fire in the Sky. I loved it. I sat down here because I started it with filming this particular clip. I started it this morning, and I expected to sit down and give you an update of I'm enjoying it so far, I'll finish it tomorrow. No, I finished it. Wow. Is this the best romantasy out there? I don't know. This is true romantasy, right? This has everything. There's a couple of spice scenes, really, really cool. It gave me very slight from Blood and Ash vibes, but better. Like, I've read Blood and Ash. That went on such a downhill. This hasn't. Like, the world building is on point. There's no, because like Blood and Ash, it's Poppy always asking the stupid questions rather than discovering the stuff about the world, which bugged me. Whereas this was, you're discovering stuff about the world. The characters are a bit not sure what's happening with them because they're discovering that they have a secret that everybody else wants. So premise is there's this whipping girl, and she is tasked to marry this guy from like another county like this. They call him the Beast, right? They have this like perceived opinion of him that is what he's like, and he's mean, he's horrible, all of this stuff. And she, because she's been a whipping girl for all of her sisters, she accepts and goes, marries him, has a night of passion. Watched, by the way, because again, this is medieval England where everybody had to watch the consummation. Which, there was one line, if you're following on Instagram, you'll know. Bearing in mind this is their first night passion, which again, I get it, romantasy, I can suspend my disbelief on this kind of stuff. It's literally, so she went, don't stop, and he went, not if there was a sword pressed to my throat. And hearing that, just as I'm mucking out stables, just had me giggling. Luckily, I was on my own at this point and not at my other job where I've so many people around, because I was like, what are you laughing at? Well, I don't hide the fact I read from work, but I don't really tell people that I read smart. I've told a couple of people I've read Monster Smart before, which they look at me like, what? And I'm like, try it. Yeah, she marries this guy, has a night of passion, and then she goes back to her homeland, but she turns out that she has a secret that she is afraid for that he won't like her or will try and do something to her, kill her, whatever, if he finds out, which is interesting. And there's also this really interesting dynamic on dragons, right? So there's this previous war on dragons, and humans have managed to kill all the dragons off. Realistically, my mind is going, how is that possible, right? What's happening? And so dragons and magic are like shunned and everything and all of this kind of stuff. So what is left of the magic people, like witches and stuff, they're just hiding, they're just recluse, all of this kind of stuff. There's that background to go on with it as well, which I found the dynamic of the dragons really interesting, and I'm hoping in book 2 we're going to delve even further into it, because we do get a dragon POV. There is a trope in here that is probably more prevalent in the paranormal side of it, of romance, that has been flipped, and I loved that. I could see that coming, and I was like, yes, yes, yes. That's all I'm going to say, because spoilers, but I loved the both main characters. So there was Fel and there was Tamsin. Okay, my one issue with Tamsin is, and I don't think this is as a big of issue as it could be, is Tamsin is described as golden. I hate the idea where people are describing things as golden skinned, golden. They're either black or not. Like, yeah, there are different castes, but don't call somebody tanned or golden and use that as a euphemism for the blue black. Please don't. That is the only issue I have, is Tamsin is the whipping girl, but she's also classed as golden. In my head, I'm like, that's more of you've been out in the sun for a long time kind of thing, right? Because she is based in the south, but again, she's a whipping girl. She's like dressed. I'm still having that in my head. It is a slight little thing at the back. I'm like, I would have just gone not that route personally, but it can kind of maybe make sense when you think about what is revealed later. So if anybody else read this book and wants to discuss that kind of thing with me, that would be amazing, because I don't quite know how to sit on it. But I love Tamsin. She's a whipping girl and she's used to making sacrifice for everybody else, but she still is learning to take care of herself. But she's not somebody who is like a typical damsel in distress. She is like, I won't complain, I will do this, I will, I'm not following you blindly, but at the same time I'm stronger than you perceive me to be, and is being that. She's very well rounded, very well developed. So is Fel, which was a surprise, because some of the fantasy romance that I've read, they focus too much on one character, not the other. Like the Hurricane Wars that I DNF'd. It was very much all the character development went onto the female main character and not the male, and he was just like this big baddie, and I'm like, that is like, you could stick somebody as a cardboard cutout and that would be that guy, right? Bland as fucking anything. So, but anyway, Fel was not. Fel was more complicated, and their relationship was complicated, which was interesting, because yes, they are technically married, but it wasn't just, oh, we're now married and everything's fine. There is things going on, but there's still that desire between those two, and that attraction, and that, Fel wants to take care of her, and all of this, and it's not just focused on that lust. It's, I want more for you. I want this. There was a point in this book where he went and got her a necklace, and he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to show that side of his affection, that, okay, well, you lost yours, here's another one to replace it. I can't bring your one back, but I can give you this. That's thoughtful, right? It's not just, I'm giving you a trinket just so I get your affection, just so you lay in bed with me. There's so much more depth to it. There's so much more depth to Fel's character. There's some glimpses when you're in his head of his past, and I'm like, oh, I want to know what's happening. And then there's all of this sort of tension between the two together, woven together, but they're both separate stories and they're both separate characters, but they still come together and they weave really, really well together. And it just, I just loved it. I don't know what to say. It did kind of feature off at the end, right? Some people will consider it a cliffhanger. It's not. It really isn't. It's more of a very big open-ended question of, you've just discovered this thing. We don't know what's kind of going on. and then something else sweeps in and you're like, whoa, that's another question I didn't know I had. That's the ending of it, right? And I kind of wished it didn't end so much abruptly like that, because it did feel a little bit abrupt and a little bit kind of rushed in a sense. But it's not something that is full of action. It is not something that is you know, teetering onto this big thing. It's this slow trickle. Yes, there is quite a bit of travel in this, but it all was very, very interesting, especially with Tamsin learning and Fell and the things, and you learn about the world, which is the perfect way of doing it. Like, you learn about the world. It's not too long when they're traveling, and you see these different monsters, see all these things, that you have a revelation. There we go. You have a revelation as you're going through traveling, which is interesting, which I just feel like a couple of times, especially in a couple of other ones, mainly for Blood and Ash, that they just put the travel there just to beef out the book. And I was like, you could have actually just cut all that out and we would have still learned the same stuff, right? It wasn't like that here. So there are some complaints I have, but overall for Romantasy, it was fun. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the romance, actually. I thought that was very, very well done. It was never fast or forced or all of this. It was just like, we are going to take our time. Yes, there is this forced marriage happening here, but the way that the author went around it and had that tension and lust between the two characters, but also having the conflict and the, well, this is, we're butting heads a little bit here. Yes, you're arranged marriage. Yes, I still desire you, but it's more complicated, and it's not just as simple as it appears. I loved how that happened, how she took her time to layer that, right? It was quite a way through the book before we even got to like the arranged marriage scene, and that's like on the back of the blurb, right? So it should happen. And I'm not saying the book dragged at all. The pacing was just on point. Like, she set it up so well to come to this point, and I was like, yeah, you have me. What am I going to read next? I have no idea. I need to go have a look at a couple of stuff that I've sat down for my audio, because I'm mainly doing these on audio because I kind of want to. I really, really want to read A Taste of Golden Iron. I think that's it. You know, the queer romance one with the bodyguard. I want to read that one. That's currently only available at my library as an ebook, which will take me longer to read. So I need to figure out what I'm going to read for tomorrow when I'm at work, because at the moment I'm just like in this cutesy little romancy kind of era that I just kind of want to read while at work. I just want fluff. I just want fluff at the moment. Hello. You may be wondering where I've been, or maybe not. For me, it's been 4 days. For you, it's probably been a couple of moments. But I want to update you on the books I've been reading that I haven't updated you on, because I've fallen down a rabbit hole. Such a rabbit hole. Like, I'd wake up in the morning, right, at 5:30, and I'd open this book up and I'd read. I'd go to work. I'd come home from work. I'd read. I'd go back to work. I'd come home and I'd read. I was so consumed by these books, I forgot to eat. I haven't cleaned the house. The house is a tip. You can't see it. I have no plates left that are clean. I've just, because of this book, okay? I don't much tell you. I've fallen down a romantasy rabbit hole, and I don't think I want to come up. I thought, like, I finished these books now. But today, I thought, oh, I'll go back to epic fantasy. And then I saw a TikTok about Merlin and Arthur, and I'm like, I want a Merlin and Arthur romance. I want forbidden romance in Camelot. This is where I am now. But I highly enjoyed A Stranger Doesn't Endurance. For some reason, I seen some TikToks about it, and I was like, maybe not. Read the blurb, and I went, I need this. I need it now. And it was everything I wanted and more. But the premise of this book is there's an alliance brood, I don't know. There's an alliance. And Velison is set to marry the woman of another country. But his inclinations to men is discovered. So instead of marrying her, he marries her brother. And I was like, arranged marriage, and it's gay. give me more. I mean, but like it was entertaining. Okay, there was generally a plot about it. There was murder. There was, you know, who's trying to kill who, what is happening. There's betrayal. There's secrets. All of this going on. But Velisson and Cathari. Velisson and Cathari, like, this book starts out dark. There's a sexual assault scene, on the line of forcing an act, but not the whole thing. I'm trying to be subtle here because I'm used to being blunt, and me being subtle doesn't work. But anyway, it started out like that, and I was like, oh my god. But it wasn't just this thing happened. It was generally like Velisson had all these consequences, all these things going on, and then he's having to go marry this guy. Doesn't even know, right? And he's dealing with like what happened, and he's like, oh my god, what? His father has disowned him because, again, this feels very, very personal from what the author wrote of what happened, because people, and for some reason, don't like gay people, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? His country is where Velisson's coming from. He doesn't like gay people, and it's like, oh my god. And then he's going to this place where it's very open. You can be whoever you want, you can marry whoever you want, and it's fine, and you can be whatever. So Velisson's doing all that, and then he meets Cathari, and it's going through. He marries this guy, and he's like, he's used to doing everything in shadow. He's trying to deal with his feelings of what happened to him, and it's just mental. And I loved it, and I loved how Cathari did everything, and I want them. Oh my god. I finished these 2 books. There's 2 of them. I'm not going to talk about the second book because spoilers, but it gets more political, and I love their relationship. I just love Cathari and Velisson, okay? I love them so much. Like with A Power Unbound, I finished this book, and while I didn't cry because it was over, I feel like I've gone through a grieving process of there's no more Cathari and Velisson, and I would read a 10-book series on their relationship, and it would be cozy. I was like, just give me cozy, just give them going on dates, just give them like just being together, and just the emotion that literally is envisioned and pulled and on the page of these books had me by a chokehold, and I didn't surface till these books were finished. On my day off, I read 50% and finished book 1, A Strange Stuff Endurance, and then I started book 2 almost immediately, and then read 50% of that, and then woke up in the evening. I was like, I should eat something. When you write romance, like Foz Meadows has written romance, I'm there for it. I am just, have me by a chokehold, and give me more and more, and just everything. Please. I don't want to leave this world. It feels like somebody has carved a place in my chest where something used to be and taken it out. And now I have a hole in my chest, and I'm like, what do I do? Apparently, shout on the internet about it. I think my last book in this little vlog thing is I'm going to read A Taste of Golden Iron. I'm just accepting I'm just in this deep rabbit hole of romantasy books, specifically gay ones, because the hetero ones I just find out aren't as well written, whereas the gay ones are. I'll be back once I've read A Taste of Golden Iron. A Taste of Golden Iron. What a book! What a book! Like, I wasn't as obsessed with A Taste of Golden Iron as I was with A Power Unbound and Strange Stuff Endurance. But, oh boy, do I want book 2. Do I want book 2? I never thought I'd fall in love with these 2 gay characters so much. Like, you have Evma, right? Who is the bodyguard, but more than a bodyguard, okay? He is, so I think they call him the Kyla people. So instead of just being a guard, they are guarding. They have to go through all this training and stuff like this. But what they also do, they dress their prince, who, they're their lord, their sultan. They dress them, they have unending loyalty, they know so many skills, they can fix things, they can sew things, they are given a stipend where they can either go spend it on wherever, but most choose to spend it to better some more skills, so they learn some more stuff, they can get into politics, they can do all this kind of stuff. They are more than just guards, okay? And Evma, fucking Evma, he is somebody who is very stoic, right? At the beginning of the book, he's a man of few words, okay? Instead of showing that he might not be particularly happy, he'll just say, Your Highness. And he'll say it in such a way, in different ways, where Kadu, who is the Highness in question, and the other love interest, is literally like, you're upset, but you've not said you're upset. So I can't call you out on it. And it's, oh, I love Emma. Oh my God. And then. Kadu. I never expected to go into this book thinking there was going to be a really, really strong representation of people having panic attacks and anxiety. Kadu is that. He is the prince, right? The Sultan is a woman. Again, love that. Who has just had a child. And the way they work is her child is hers, and they have a body father who obviously fathered the child, but he has no claim on her because unless the mother gives it. And I kind of like that. Stuff like this. So on all of this, and there's somebody, basically the plot is apart from the romance is somebody broke into the Shipbuilders Guild, and Kay just knew meant to find out why, and it sort of unnerves a lot of things going on, right? It's kind of a mystery kind of thing going on as you go through it. But on top of that, Kadu is literally like all of the time having intense panic attacks, and he's trying to hide it from everybody, and trying to, because again, he's a prince, he's meant to be this image, and he's just and I love Tadek. Fuck Tadek. I never thought that he would have my heart too. He is basically used to be a kind of bodyguard person for Kadu, but something happened because Kadu confided in him what he suspected of happening from the body father of his sister daughter, right? And something was going on. I fucking knew. I didn't trust that guy. Not Tadek, the bodyfather guy. So Tadek already knew this, and something happened, and Kadu ended up falling from a horse on the hunt. And he was like, I swore I saw this, I swore I saw a blade. And Kadu was like, it's my fault, and all of this. So he's trying and to kind of please everybody else, like, it must have been me, it must have been my brain, and that's so true for people who have anxiety. You are constantly doubting yourself. Like, the representation in this is just on fucking point, and I'm sitting here like, oh my God, am I reading about me? Because this fucking book, man. But anyway, let's talk about the romance. Okay, but anyway, Tadek is kind of cool. So he ends up being, he's like an ex-lover of Kadu's. They're fuck buddies, if you will. But he is kind of cool. He's a flirt about everything. I just loved it. I never thought, because this is the thing with a lot of romance between things they don't do. They will have the main couple, but they will never really have somebody else who will be a friend to one of the other couples, or has really, really good page time. And this is what Tadek was. And I love Tadek. He's such a flirt. But what he was doing, bearing in mind, Evma, stoic, man of no words. And he's like, me and you, we're going to be best friends. Evma's like, nope. Tadek is insistent. We're like, we are going to be friends. We're going to be besties. And he's relentless in it. And I love it. How he gets there. Oh, it's just amazing. I love it. But the romance. This is a slow burn, okay? This is such a slow burn. And I loved it. Who thought I'd like a slow burn? I mean, obviously me, because I don't do Insta love. But this is probably slower than what people might expect, but I like that it took the chance to do this. So, this is tame. Like, 2 spicy scenes at the end of the... 1 spicy scene at the end of the book. And even then it's tame. So if you're not really into spice, you can read this, because you can read the spice and you don't have to read the spice. It's very, very minimal. And I liked it because of that. With this book, it's Evma is now become Kadu's Kyla, right? And Kadu ends up getting Evma to open up a bit more, because Evma had an opinion on Kadu because of the situation that happened at the beginning of the book, that he was like, I don't like you because of it. Realised that, I should have actually trusted my eyes, not what people are perceiving of this prince. And you see them slowly starting to build a relationship together, slowly starting to sort of become friends. There was a bath scene where they are, because obviously the bodyguard people, they do everything for them. They dress them, they can wash them, they can whatever, and he's washing Kado's hair, and Kado and they are talking about how to open up, and they're just having like a good talk. See, they're talking, and then Kado asked to do Kado's hair, Kado asked to do Evma's hair, and I was like, what? And it's just like, I've never done it, and it's just so sweet, and the language this author used to sort of really focus on that this is very emotional. You could have just said, oh, they did this, but she broke it down into points that made it like almost sensual. Not quite, but that kind of wording, and I love that scene. And then it just kind of blew from there, and then they started really talking to each other, and they're going all of this, and it's almost before a spicy scene, they actually realise how much they both care about each other, and that is what I like in romance books. It is that is what I want. I want the slow burn. I want the emotion, because that is what this book held. It was filled with so much emotion. Like, you could have taken the spice out of this book and it would still be filled with so much emotion. Like, I felt it. I felt Evmar's pain. I felt, and I knew before even they knew on the page, that how deeply in love he was with Kado. And it was just and how they are both willing to fight for each other against and it's just, this is what I like about romance books. This is what I want in romance books. So, if anybody has any recommendations that is similar to this, full of the yearning for one, 2, the slow burn. I will take a slow burn. Oh my god, give me more of this, please. If anybody has any recommendations, drop them below, and I would immediately read it, because I finished this book and I was like so happy in my heart, so happy, and like, oh, I've booked it. When book 2 drops, we're reading it on release day. Like, I refused to buy Wind and Truth ebook because it was 16 quid. I will pay 16 quid for a fucking ebook for this book 2, right? That is how much I love. So, an epic fantasy reader reads romance. Turns out, I have now fallen back in love with romance. Let me know if you're going to read any of these books. Drop your recommendations for what you want me to read next. And I'll see you in the next one.